where academia and industry go hand in hand. This is Think Future. Hello everybody and welcome to Think Future. I'm Orla and this is the podcast that takes you on a deep dive into the world of knowledge transfer partnerships at Queen's University Belfast. And here we'll be unpacking the incredible opportunities that can shape your future. We'll chat with talented graduates working in KTP, business leaders and academic experts from the university. Together, we'll explore how the KTP programme can kickstart graduate careers whilst driving innovation in the heart of Northern Ireland. Now, if you're new to the podcast, you might be asking yourself right now, what on earth is KTP? Well, before we get started, let's unpack exactly what KTP means. KTP stands for Knowledge Transfer Partnerships. This is a dynamic three-way collaboration between a company, graduate and academic. The purpose is to transfer research knowledge and expertise out of the university or research organisation and to embed it within a business to help companies innovate and grow. The programme offers enhanced career prospects for the graduates who assist in leading real-life projects to help solve an industry problem. So now that we've got the basics down, let's move on to today's guest. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Think Future. I'm your host Orla and joining us in the studio today, we are delighted to welcome KTP Associate and talented engineer Rohit Avadhani. Now more specifically, Rohit currently works as a robotics and process improvement engineer on a knowledge transfer partnership between Queen's University Belfast and a company called WD Meats in Coleraine, County Derry. So for the next 30 minutes, we are going to chat to Rohit about his role as the KTP Associate within his project. Think Future with KTP. Let's look at the KTP Associate experience. So Rohit, hello, welcome to the podcast. Thrilled to have you here. Just going to have a little bit of a chat about your ongoing KTP. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling really good. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. So to kick off the episode, can you tell us a little bit about that initial spark that led you to pursue this role? So what made you go, yes, this is the KTP opportunity, that's the one for me?
It's a tricky question, but I'll take you back. So India, I'm Indian, you see from my accent.
Brilliant.
India is an agrarian society. My family, they've got farms and all that. So I think that food as a commodity should be cheaper and absolutely available. And when I saw this KTP, I realized that that's what they were trying to go for. They wanted to introduce automation and robotics into a meat processing plant. As you know that if you walk into any supermarket, meat is the most expensive part of it.
Oh, 100%.
So their agenda was, hopefully we can reduce the price of it. That's my take. And I figured, okay, this is amazing because my background in robotics goes really well with this. And that was my initial spark. People are gonna eat for cheap. No one's gonna steal food anymore, hopefully.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, there's so many layers to that. I adore that. I think especially as a uni student to hear that it's going to be inexpensive or even just in this cost of living crisis. Affordable, yes. But especially in this cost of living crisis, that's an amazing reason to be doing this for. But you're halfway through your project now. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're working on and how has the journey just been so far?
Absolutely. So in general, my position is about process automation. So process automation basically means that I look at a process and I say there are some key areas called high value manufacturing and non-value zones, high value zones. Essentially, it means that for whatever work a particular operator is doing at every single point, is that high value or not? For instance, the value is from, it's going to be monetary value, production value, time, I look at that, I optimize it, and I tell them, okay, perhaps we can do A to B. It could also be A to B to D, and then that'll be easier for us. And then I give them some advice on that, and the advice could be in the form of data simulations, or it could be a new software development as well. So that's like the overall picture. Some of the projects that I'm working on specifically would be in the field of, say, packaging. So you have so packaging is also one of the most expensive parts of meat production.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it actually is about 37% of a meat packet.
Wow.
So if you buy a roast, for example, 37% of that is packaging, 37% of that is labor, and the rest of it is just miscellaneous like heating costs and cooling costs and all that.
Oh my goodness.
So the packaging part of it, I'm trying to introduce automation. So it could be robotic pick and places, or it could just be simple conveyance system to decrease labor or to repurpose them. That's what I'm doing there. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's fascinating. There's so many different layers to that. It's like you're not really boxed into one area. You've got everything in different places.
That's true, because the idea is the ultimate idea is process optimization, and it just encompasses so many areas, and obviously if I go about searching for all the areas, I'll be lost. So my first target is packaging, and the thing with meat packaging is it's a very old system, so people have sort of like an old mentality, so it has to be very gradual, very easy on them. You should not touch the labor because they feel their jobs are being at risk. So you come about the other way and say, I would like to make it more ergonomic. I'll make you work easier.
I see.
So that's the idea.
Making everyone's life easy.
Yeah.
But this is why I love doing this podcast. You just hear so many fascinating stories about what people are up to. But just to get to know your story a little bit more, if you were to take us behind the scenes here, what would a typical day in the life of Rohit look like working as a KTP associate?
So the thing about KTP associates is you are your own project leads. Even though you have got a company supervisor, you've got a director, nobody is interested in what you're doing, and everybody is interested in what you're doing. So that's the problem, because you're actually under a bit of a pressure here, because one of the reasons they hire you is because you're a high functioning person coming at a very low cost. So essentially they're like, we don't have to put a lot of direction on them, but still they want to know where you are, and you have to show progress. So my day involves basically I come down and I spend about 15 minutes a day writing down what I should do. And that would just be, sometimes I just go out. It's called over optimization. It's very usual. You go, what if I do something else to this line? And then you begin that conversation with your managers and your production managers, line managers, and then that'll take you about 30-40 minutes. And this is not like in a meeting room. You have to literally go to their desk and go,
oh really?
How you go, and you've got 3 minutes, 5 minutes. This is my idea. What do you think? And you have to put it in capital. Not letters, but like in money, and say if we do this is how we save. If we do this, the server load's going to go down. If we do this is what's going to happen. And then they say, why not just go ahead, look into it. And then that's when your actual day begins, because that's when you're actually doing stuff. So for instance, I just recently deployed this. It's a simple thing. It's more of a warehouse simulator. So the guy who picks the pallets up and puts it on the shelves in the production plant, he just wanted to know which area is full, which is not full.
Yeah.
So it might sound simple, but then I told him, I can make you a visual. Well, it's a basic visualizer. So basically he looks into the thing and goes, what's in the shelf? And then just populates everything. And because it's a meat plant, it has to be sorted by the pack date, the kill date, or when the expiry date and all that. And then stuff. I just made this by myself, without even consulting with the managers. And then I went ahead and said, this is what I've made. What do you think? And they go, yes. And then they deploy it right away. This is how a usual life in KTP is. It's you design your own workload, and it's always better to go on the heavy end, make it a heavy day, and then before you even know it, half of it is going to get rejected. And then the other half is what you build your project on.
Oh, got it. Do you find that doing it through this method, do you think it can get things done more quickly, or do you think it's brilliant?
Absolutely, because without them knowing, you are actually involving them. It's only 3 minutes of their life or their time.
But it's such an important 3 minutes.
It's so important because you're keeping them in loop, and then every time they see you, you just go, you got a second, I have to show you something. And then they're just holding their coffee, coming down to your desk, and you go, this is what I've done. And they go, hey, sounds good. Yeah, this is very good. Why don't you talk to the production manager? So you go up the ladder first, and then you go down the ladder until you hit the operator and go, this is what I've made for you. Yeah. What do you think?
Oh, that's brilliant. That's actually a really systematic way to do it, because it's very efficient.
It's very chaotic, actually.
Really?
But
it sounds systematic.
It sounds systematic, very chaotic.
Oh, golly, okay. Jeez, so many layers to this. But speaking of your company as well, sustainability at the moment is very, very big, and in a lot of companies, not just yours. But would you say, particularly in your project, is there much of a focus on sustainability?
Yeah, optimization is all about sustainability. So optimization would just mean like if you have a particular machine running 3 hours a day and I optimize it, it's now running for an hour and a half a day. It's an hour and a half less energy consumed. So it's all about that. So that's basically part of the major part of my project, which deals with sustainability. But the company in general is obviously has been and is moving towards sustainability, just in terms of their packaging style. They unfortunately for food packaging companies, the sustainability they will always push for it, but their clients, which is your supermarkets, they have to accept it. If the company goes, why don't we go for recycled plastic, vacuum packed recycled packed plastic, and then an ex-client says, oh no, it doesn't look well in the aisles in the supermarkets, we just can't do anything. We have to sit about and sort of just look into it. So it's basically run by them, but we are always pushing for it. We are always like, okay, can we do this or not? And they say no.
Oh, golly. So do you find how it looks then, and even like you may be putting a lot of brain power behind it, but it's ultimately sort of how it looks on the shelf?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just behind the scenes stuff. So yes, they are also pushing towards, they have their own sustainability goals, and they always hit it. Whereas from our perspective, ours is a bit more different because we are actually manufacturing. So we have the other ones, like say we have vacuum packing. You've got stuff like it's thermoforming. There's heat involved. There's air compression involved. So you've got other variables that come in there. So different packaging would have different variables. So it's kind of hard to hit it from every production line perspective. But overall, I think WD Meats is not doing too bad.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. And your KTP project is helping with that, which
yes,
is the
I would
most
say. I
important
hope
thing.
so. Yeah.
Brilliant. I mean, KTP, I know it's not exactly a household name, but we are working to change that, so don't you worry. But I always find it's really interesting to hear how a lot of associates heard of the position as well. Like, was it through a job advert? Did they see somebody else doing it? This may just be a bit of market research of myself, but here we are. But for you, how did you discover this role, and had you heard of KTP before you'd seen it advertised?
Yeah, I had just finished my second semester of my master's in Glasgow, and I had the next 3 months, it was all lined up for my thesis. And I figured, because I had work experience before my master's, I figured I'd like to, work as part of my thesis, So I started looking into stuff, and there was a company from Strathclyde, connected with Strathclyde, doing KTP.
Oh, amazing!
And then because I asked them, can I use this as my project, and then you can keep me on if you like me. And they said the idea is nice, but then let's look into it.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. Then I was like, what is this KTP? And then I googled KTP, and then everything. I was like, okay, I know everything about KTP now. 100%. So that's how I started, and Queens was just through that, because unfortunately I couldn't get it done with Strathclyde's because of just my visas. Because you can't have the KTP while you're a student. You have to have a different visa. And then I was like, yeah, fair enough. And then I finished it, and then I applied to Queens, and then things worked out. I think it's like a full circle, to be honest, because my first job out of my first master's was designing food processing machines. Oh. And now I'm working for the company that does the food processing. So it's like a full circle.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's brilliant. Well, it shows, you really had the goal to begin with, and then you just followed through with it, which is incredible. But if we move a bit back to your background now as well, before you got into your KTP, where were you at university? What were you studying? Essentially, what was life like before the knowledge transfer partnerships? Tricky one.
Let's see. I'll take you back some time ago. I did my first master's in the US. It was in aerospace engineering. I worked as a mechanical engineer, actually, mechanical design engineer. I did my food processing, designing food processing equipment. And then obviously when you're first out of school, you have no clue what you're doing, but then you stick to your base foundations, which is your design. For me, it was design. And I stuck to it, and then I realized, okay, where do these machines go? What am I doing? Then I realized it was optimization, like industrial optimization, but it was a food processing plant. Back then I never had this whole agrarian thought, food should be cheaper, and I was very capitalistic. I was in America. And then I moved on. I was like, okay, what's the next step? Then I worked for this company called Amazon Robotics in Boston.
Nice.
That's where I did. That's where I saw proper robotics. You're talking next level industrial optimization. That is incredible there. And that got me thinking, no wonder things are cheaper if you go through Amazon. That's because the fulfillment from their perspective is so quick. It's so super optimized. And then it got me thinking again. I was like, why can't we do this for food? What's happening? So then I sort of took it to myself to see what I need to learn. I figured, okay, I need to be good at programming. I need to be good at understanding mechatronics. And so I got into Glasgow. I mean, why I got into Glasgow is another story again, but if I may digress for like 30 seconds.
Go for it. We love it on the podcast.
So India was playing Australia.
Excellent.
and then we lost. We scored 36 and we were all out. And then I sat to myself, I was like, why is there no proper data analytics team? And I took it to myself, and I interned with a cricket agent to learn how the whole dynamics work in cricket. And then I realized I was really bad at programming. And then I saw University of Glasgow. I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so
excellent.
I was looking at University of Glasgow. I was like, why not just apply? I was in India. I left my position at Amazon. I went back home to help my father, he had his heart surgery, so everything's well.
Good to him.
And then applied to Glasgow, and I got in right away. It was amazing, and that got me into this. The kind of satisfaction you get is amazing. So basically, because I went back to India, I saw the whole system. My father sort of told me, we have a farm, this is what we have. And he was complaining that labor shortage. He was complaining of how expensive machines are, renting a machine especially. And I was like, let's do this now.
Amazing. It's so great to hear how like your natural sense of curiosity and also kind of justice as well, and to see so many things improve is like helping you lead forward and move forward. And especially with your KTP, I can certainly imagine as well your background in mechanical engineering, let me say it right, definitely brings a unique perspective to your project as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But fascinating to hear though.
Because mechanical engineering was my base domain, and I still am really good at designing stuff, and I'm really good at understanding manufacturing processes. What I'm trying to get into is now that bridge between computer sciences and mechanical engineering, which is robotics, which is mechatronics. And I'd like to stay on that bridge, because the world is just moving towards, you can stay in your core field, but it sort of limits your ideas. Whereas when I started my robotics, my thesis was actually in vibration oscillations, core mechanical engineering, but I used neural networks, which is a very computer oriented domain, into identifying faults, and my mind was not sitting still when my professor explained that thesis to me. He goes, it's called PIN, Physics Informed Neural Networks, and it got me really interested. And then I figured, I'm gonna stick here. I'm gonna stay on this bridge forever.
I love that. So was it sort of like a gut feeling that you felt, or was it just from everything you'd experienced and you heard, you went, no, this is the area that I need to be in?
No, I was happy,
Yeah.
For the first time in my life, I was happy.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you don't hear a lot of people say this, like, I like what I'm doing. I enjoy my day, and I'm happy. Yes, living in the US was great money, good companies, but I'm happy. So I think that's the other thing about KTP. It's fast paced, but it's at your control. You can control that pace. It helps to be at a faster pace, but you can control it. Like some days I just go to work and I'm just documenting stuff, sort of like no brainer. Documentation is no brainer. You're just like, okay, replicating whatever you have done. But sometimes you need that. You don't have to be on your feet at all times. You can just sit down, chill out. That's why I like
100%.
KTB.
Oh, amazing. I mean, that's sort of, it's the key that anybody wants in a work-life environment. It's just to be in control and to be happy with what you're doing. So incredible you've been able to find that through KTP.
Thank you.
So as we know, KTP is a partnership between a university and a business. And you've mentioned your company as well, who you're working with, WD Meets. But can you share a little bit about the partnering you have with the school within Queen's and the academic supervisors you have there as well?
Perfect. So I work with the WD Meets. They are partnered with Queen's University of Belfast, and if further another layer deeper, we are partnered with Queen's University of Belfast and a research wing of it called NITC, which is the Northern Ireland Technology Centre.
Oh, amazing!
Yes, they are now known as AMIC, so my supervisor is the Senior Process Engineering and Digital Manufacturing Lead from AMIC, that's about it. Yeah.
Brilliant. So, I mean, they must definitely have quite a significant role in the development journey of your KTP and your own personal development journey as a result. Yes. Which brings us swiftly on to our next segment of development journeys. Think Future with KTP. Now it's time to look at Rohit's development journey. Now, I feel a really important part of a development journey is self-reflection, particularly on how you're developing those skills and that knowledge as well. So along the way, have there been any surprises or unexpected learning experiences, and how have those contributed to your professional and personal growth?
Of course, yeah, this is a very good question. So again, like I mentioned earlier, you've got the KDB project where you're the project lead. So essentially, whatever you do is your call. So how do you learn? Like who questions you? Who points out your mistakes? So it's your supervisors who do that. So you've got, from the baseline, you've got your company supervisor who has the first-hand knowledge of what you're doing, and then you've got your academic supervisor who basically gives you technical expertise. Yes, you are an expert in your domain, but then they've got a better experience than you have. So you tell them, can I use this particular idea? This is my design. What can I do there? And then they say, have you looked into something like that? And then you say no. And then they suggest you this plan. They go, okay, maybe you can look into this. They've got a developmental course starting up. There's a conference coming up. For instance, the PPMA, which is a packaging conference in Birmingham, huge. I didn't even know this. But then I did mention to my supervisor that I'm looking at a packaging line. And then he goes, oh, have you looked into this one? Maybe you'll get ideas. So that's how it works. It's all about discussions, and my supervisor really helps me out in that sense. So that's where the reflection comes in. You're not always right, and you must accept that. Always just, you have a supervisor, you have a mentor, so you always take your idea through them, and then they tell you if it's good or bad. Even though, I mean, sometimes it's not just good and bad, it's not black and white. They just say what could be the predictions. They give you predictions. Okay, if you do this, this might happen, this might not happen. And then you've got another layer in there as well. It's called knowledge transfer network. That's every KTB project has one supervisor appointed through the knowledge transfer network. What they do is they look at your developmental prospects. So they ask you, what have you done to learn? It's not just about your project. It's not about what have you done in the project. They go, what did you learn today? What did you learn in this project? And this normally comes up every 4 months through we have these sessions called local management committee sessions, so LMC for short. That's where everybody comes together, the company supervisor, the academic supervisor, sometimes even the MD of the company, and then your knowledge transfer supervisor comes in, and they sit down. You take them through what you've done so far. You give them what was the end result of the project for those 4 months, and then you plan, and then you also put in these ideas, and you can say, I am taking up a course on, say, Udemy, not sponsored, and say, I found this particular project, I found this particular program, and I think it's very closely associated with my project. And then your KDP supervisor is going to ask you, what have you done that's for your development? And you tell them, you have done this particular course. He's like, no, for your development. And that's how they help. So what I've done is I've gotten into IET, which is your Institute for Engineering and Technology, which is sort of like a membership.
Nice.
And it's sort of like IMechE.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't know this. It was my KT advisor, supervisor, who said, "Why don't you look into this? Like you're a mechatronics background guy, so something like that is really helpful." Now coming back to the self reflection, all of these guys, they play a very important role. Just to basically guide the project into success. But you should always be very smart at your decisions, I guess.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's really nice to hear that, because it just hears genuinely everyone's really invested in your development.
Indeed.
Not just professional, but also personal. And it's great to hear that they're also tracking that, so then they can help you along the way wherever you're not, I won't say falling down, but sort of like maybe you want to get better in an area,
Yes.
then they're there to help you, which is incredible.
You never lost. That's what I'd say. Every single time you feel you're lost, just talk to somebody. Like it happens to me so many times. I get overwhelmed with the technology out there, and I'm sort of constrained on the funding as well. Because like, for instance, you've got a production line, and then you go, I'd like to put in a robot, but the robot costs you like 6 digits, and the company's like, no, that's too much. And then you talk to your supervisors, your mentors, and you say, what do I do? I'm confused, because your only idea was shut down.
Yeah.
And then they say, no, don't worry, just what about this? And then it opens up a whole new avenue.
Oh, amazing. So do you think they have a big part to play in how you sort of deal with rejection?
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
Would you say there's anything else that helps contribute to that, or is it sort of they're the main voices?
So in terms of rejection, so basically it's them that drive the particular rejection part of it. Again, they sort of give you enthusiasm. They go, don't worry about it, there's another idea, you can perhaps look into this. Or they say, maybe not now, maybe look into this project in the next 6 months. And that's how you learn. Like I didn't realize that like the food production actually has only a 12-week window, and it changes every 12 weeks. So that's how the tenders are. I never knew this, and I'm 1 year into the project, and I came to know about it 4 months ago.
Okay.
This was through frequent meetings, and then they mentioned it to me. Any project you start has to be in that 12-week span, because if it goes past that 12-week, you basically have a whole new project again, because you don't know what the tender is going to be. You don't know what the clients want. You don't know what we want. We don't know what we want.
Yeah.
So that's where you jump in, and then that's where your supervisor jumps in, and then sort of gives you a head start.
Brill, I love that. I love that there's a really nice supportive network there, because then it creates an environment for people to actually thrive.
Yeah, if you feel safe.
Yeah, 100%. Very forward thinking of them. I love that. But going back to sort of your journey again, Queen's is obviously based in Belfast, but your company partner, WD Meats, is based in Coleraine. So how do you find sort of working and presumably, I guess, living as well outside of Belfast?
I live in Portrush.
Amazing.
So I think it's amazing. I hear the waves every day in the morning. It's
so
quite
calming.
wonderful. The train station is right in front of my house, so that's the other plus point.
And you've kind of been all over. You went India to America to Scotland and then to here as well, which is quite a transition to go through from all the different places. So how did you manage that, and just how did you find that experience, really?
I have to thank my parents here, because at the age of 8, they made a decision for me to go live in the city. They were in the village. They said, you should get better education. And I think that's how I developed my resilience and adaptability. I was living with my aunt and uncle, really nice people. Then I also lived with my grandparents, and that sort of made me really self-sufficient. I started cooking at the age of 16.
Nice.
So,
I think that's good age.
So nothing bothered me. Like I move really quickly. I don't latch on to things. It's easy for me to let go. So India, I did my bachelor's, and then I had my brother as a dentist in Phoenix in the US, and he says the research here is really nice for aerospace engineering and mechanical engineering. I was like, oh, let's do it. And that's how my journey started. Again, like I said earlier, I moved to Glasgow after living in the US for about 5 years. And then Glasgow is beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
People are nice, like I like to think I'm friendly. So I end up meeting nice people. Yes, I have also had some really bad experiences, but it's like I can count it in my fingertips. But the good ones is just so many.
Completely, and they just outweigh everything.
Absolutely.
No, you haven't. I love that. But sort of along the journey, along the way, have there been any unexpected aspects or challenges that you've encountered?
Oh yeah, absolutely, loads of them. You're a different looking person working in a company saying I'm going to automate everything. The first thing you get is rejection. Everyone rejects you. But now I'm very grateful that people have accepted me because I've shown them what I can do. So that was the first problem, because I know that my supervisor was very pro automation, which was very pro robotics, and all she wanted to do was, oh, can we do this in robotics, and we do that in robotics. And whereas when I go downstairs and talk to the operators, they are on a completely different page. So I think that was the biggest problem I saw, I guess. I was like, oh, there's no connect here. Because I understand what happened there, because they were scared for their jobs. Completely understand that. And so it was my duty, and I learned to tell them, okay, I'm not trying to take your jobs away. I'm trying to upskill you. Probably you don't have to lift that 20 kilogram box by yourself. I can get you a machine for that. What do you think? And they go, yeah, you're right. So that's how you take care of it.
No, that's brilliant. So it's seeing their point of view and then having that open discussion together.
Oh yeah, communication is super key.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely key in terms of...
And listening. Communication is mostly talking, no listening. Oh my God, so important.
Oh, I've definitely learned that along the years. But definitely in terms of overcoming challenges, I'd say that's definitely key. But yeah, it's truly fascinating just to hear about all the different intricate details and dynamics within your project. But hopefully this is encouraging a lot of people actually to take up a KTP. Think Future with KTP. Now let's look at those future outlooks. Now, as always on the podcast, we do like to end our discussions with a view on the future, because after all, the show is called Think Future. So this is because also we do believe in the power of forward-thinking innovation. So if we move to focus on what lies ahead for you and your project, which is very exciting times, first of all, how long do you have left on your project, and what goals do you hope to achieve in the coming months?
I have about 9 months left on the contract. And recently so basically there's a production line that sort of just gone through peak period. So there's peak periods for every different production line. And during peak period, you tend not to touch it, because you know how they say, if it's working, don't mess with it. So I'm basically working on a prototype to decrease the labor capacity and improve production. I'm hoping it'll save them about 60,000 or something. I'm hoping this is through a simulation. I'm acquiring materials. I'm also learning PLCs and all that, because that's the brains of the whole project. And once I take it through, then I'm going to sit with my academic supervisor. That's where the other help comes in, prototyping.
Brilliant.
They give you a place to sort of prototype. They give you conveyors, and all I have to do is bring product from WD Meats and sort of take it through the line and see if it works, if the idea works. If it works, then I display it. If they like it, they deploy it. And if they deploy it, they save money.
Oh,
so
brilliant.
That's the idea.
That's amazing. So sort of moving off from that then, with those outcomes in mind from your KTP project, how do you see this shaping the future direction of the company?
I think they believe now in the power of total automation. So I did tell them about factory maturity, like how where they are and where I intend them to be. It'll be sort of, I shouldn't even say this, but I don't think it's possible, total autonomy.
Okay.
Which is like next level iRobot style manufacturing. There's literally nobody in the factory. But I don't think it's possible with food processing, especially because it needs quality control and everything. You always need a human in the loop. I'm looking at sort of predictive maintenance, predictive analysis, which is sort of where they are. Like for instance, I set up a condition monitoring system for them, which basically tells them if a machine is about to break down, and then they can just go ahead and sort of fix it, and the line is still running without any catastrophe. So I think they believe now in the power of that, and I really hope they invest more in the field of technology. Just say it could be new machines, it could be new applications, it could be like leveraging powerful machine learning techniques. Depends. I think they're getting there.
For our listeners who are all listening to this, thinking that this sounds like a really good idea, they kind of want to follow in your footsteps, this may be the most important question for them, but what key bit of advice would you give to those eyeing up a KTP?
Wow, yeah, that's a very good question. So say if you want to follow my footsteps, I'd say, what's wrong with you first?
No, you're doing great stuff.
But again, I think you should find areas where there's impact. Like I don't want to downplay anybody. You could be working for big corporations, but what's your impact? Yes, you're earning good amount of money, but what is the impact? What are you bringing? What's your ultimate goal? If your ultimate goal is making money for somebody and for yourself, then you're happy there. But again, for me, I found appreciation here. I found happiness here. I found that I was making proper impact. I knew that if I'm able to decrease the production cost of a particular roast from £7 to £5, a family is going to have Christmas dinner someday.
Oh, 100%.
Now that is proper impact, and I think that's what I found. Now, you could, I mean, to be honest, if you're working in the agro-tech industry, you are always working with industry professionals and farmers, which is beautiful. You've got sustainability causes here for emissions from the farms. You've heard of Loch Ness having an algae problem, and that was emissions. You just have to find issues, and every issue is being tackled by some academic project. You just have to find it out, get yourself on it.
I love that. It's sort of nurture your inner curiosity for something that you're really passionate about, and then pursue that to make an impact and a change on the world. Yeah.
There's also this thing about productivity as well. So you have to be able to produce quality content. So I'd say, so the company, for instance, so through KTP, right? So you go, your ultimate agenda should be productivity. So you're saying you want to optimize something, it's all about that. So you any project you take up, I think that's the most important aspect. How are you optimizing it? How is it usable? How is it sustainable? And ultimately, what's the end product? And how's the productivity in there? That's how it is. But the second part of the question there is through KTP. I think KTP allows you to sort of delve deeper into this aspect. Instead of just saying, okay, there's so many academic projects out there. KTP actually helps you there because a project has been catered for you. They know that through this project, they predict this. They say through this project we could see an increase in optimization, we could see an increase in productivity, sustainability. To be honest, productivity and sustainability are byproducts of optimization. So as long as you are able to find that particular thing, you should be fine.
Brilliant. Final message, you should be fine if you do a KTP. Brilliant. I love that. Well, thank you so much for everything, Rohit. That was very, very informative and just fascinating to hear about your story. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm also doing, to be honest, I'm on LinkedIn, so anybody can reach out to me.
Love it.
And I also do a bit of a consultation on the side for free, obviously, because who wants to pay money? So it's a small thing called Cafe Robotica. Especially if you're from a technological background, say you like to work with robots and you like to work with optimization of lines, and you like to talk just sensors, sensor fusion, you can reach out to caferobotica.co.uk.
Nice.
Or if that domain is taken, you can just say Cafe Robotica. You'll find me on LinkedIn, and we can take it from there. I'll take you through what is KTP, what you need in a KTP, and one more thing is you've got simple things that are sort of missed out in a KTP or any project. Gantt charts. Learn how to do Gantt charts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's very important.
What's a Gantt chart? Very quickly.
So a Gantt chart is basically a tool that emphasizes on how your project is moving. So you're able to mark your milestones. You're able to mark the start date and end date of the project. So these are all productivity tools. You've got Six Sigma tools. You've got lean manufacturing techniques. You've got Gantt charts. You've got I think that's about it. That's what I use. And yeah, that's what you need, and that's it. I guess you can reach out to me.
Brill.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rohit. We loved having you on the episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
What a great episode with Rohit there. Now, before we end this episode, we of course have to give a quick shout out to the funders of the KTP programme, without whom none of this would be possible. KTPs are funded by UKRI through Innovate UK with the support of co-funders including the Scottish Funding Council, Welsh Government, Invest Northern Ireland, DEFRA and BEIS. Innovate UK manages the KTP programme and facilitates its delivery through a range of partners, including Innovate UK Business Connect, knowledge bases and businesses. Each partner plays a specific role in the support and delivery of the programme. Now, if what we have talked about today has sparked an interest in you, just know that there is a KTP opportunity waiting for you round the corner. So to check out the latest KTP jobs and to find out more about this exciting programme, you can visit KTP on the Queen's University Belfast website. That's www.qub.ac.uk/KTP. Or you can check out our social media channels. Now, if you don't see anything there at the moment, why not sign up to receive the job alert so you never miss out on an incredible opportunity? And with that, this episode of Think Future comes to an end. So a very special thank you to Rohit Avadhani, KTP Associate at Queen's, for letting us explore his journey today. And I am sure his words of wisdom have inspired a lot of you out there. So we touched on everything from reasons driving his decision to apply for a KTP role to the need for automation in the industry and how KTP can help improve productivity for companies across Northern Ireland like WD Meats. So join us next time as we delve further into the minds shaping tomorrow's innovations. I've been Orla and you've been listening to Think Future.